Hello. Is this working? I think it is. Right, I apologize. I'm gonna open with apologies. I have not got the camera. I'm not sure where the webcam is. I think it's in a box somewhere. It's probably not even that really important. I don't think you even need to see my face for most of this anyway. Cool. So, I apologize for music. The My connection does not allow me to stream music at the same time as streaming this stream. So I've been meaning to download them all at once at some point, but not done that yet. And I apologise for um, the timing it's on. I've been in a weird, busy situation, and yeah, may as well just get on with it. This is the Blender Discord streaming render roast. So it is a main event of the server where if people post any render they have made into the chat, you can get it roasted every week or so once there's enough images by some of the lovely streamers on display. And you can look at the channel, check it all out. All the videos are recorded. Link to Discord below. If you have any desire to join it, then go for it. So, may as well continue. First, we have Nierda, which I believe is how you say that. And yes, I can see the chat. I am sorry it's a 10 for where you are. It's not exactly ideal time for me either, but yeah, let's just power through. We can do it. And let me try and mitigate your staying awake by giving you lots of lovely compliments, because this looks wonderful. I am very interested in the design. I can see a lot of human elements like the very broad shoulder and the ribs, nice and bulgy. I can see outlines of some polygons, but I don't even think that matters. The texture is very, very nice. It's fairly tricky to discern why you have lights on a thing like this, but it looks great regardless. It's very textured as well, so I'm not just saying like it has a texture, I'm saying like the variety of texture changes a lot. It's not just noise and nodes, it's patches of roughness. There's some interesting light spreading out further here in the cracks, and not just one big long seam. It's got segments and splitting off. I really like that. At first I thought these were sort of like flaky particles that were coming down from the sky, but no, the background's not got it, so they're just on the skin. The face I think is really cool. It's got a really good silhouette, fairly unique one from each side, so you can tell where it's going. I well, you could be like, oh yeah, it can't eat. How does it live? But you know, whatever looks good is usually what works, especially when it comes to film and entertainment, regardless of if it's technically accurate or all that. But you can still draw some good technical inspiration from life and how it works, because that's usually how it generates biology. I do enjoy this eye a lot. It's quite bright, and it leads nicely into the lines on the neck. I would say these lines are quite densely placed in very odd situations, so you've got one really big, long, dense line going from the neck down to the shoulders, and then nothing for the vast majority of it, apart from these small flecks, which I think is a really big separation in shapes. So you've got massive, thick lines with tiny little flecks next to them. It sort of distracts you from most of the form. Oh cool, mostly procedural anyway. But even so, it's been spread out quite nicely. Especially the chunky metal textures on the back. I could see a bit of stretching on here, which I don't think was intentional, but still looks pretty nice. I can't really see how this connects to the body, but I'm assuming it might just clip into it, but it looks pretty good either way. Just the texture and the mesh on here. This pipe sort of implies that it disappears behind the head, but there's like nothing around the head as well, so you're sort of left to interpret this just sort of ends behind the head. Yes, it is Rye Bread doing the render roast right now. Yes, the lighting is pretty great. I can see a lot of the outline and the shape of everything, and give me a lot of idea of how the model would feel if you were to touch it. And it goes quite dark over here, but I think that's also intentional. You could sort of still see the silhouette of it with the skin and purple lights on it. I do enjoy the marginal like stretching, so that it looks like it has a mouth, but sort of blended over. It's very good. Can't see a lot to do with the rest of it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, if the flakes like, oh, I'll just throw them in, then yeah, it gives it an interesting effect, and that's usually how you like experimenting with stuff and giving a good result. Uh, yeah, so you're just saying that like they were hiding it with UVs, giving them weird artifacts. So yeah, if you sculpted it, then unwrapping is probably quite tricky as well. If you unless you weren't going to paint on it, or just like auto unwrap. But yeah, like this effect could be used quite well somewhere else. If you're trying to do some like smouldering ash, this would work quite well for that. But I think the model itself is really good. The eye is terrific. It feels like it's a hard ball with a bright light in the middle. Background is fine. It's just pure black. It's probably just been transparency as well. It doesn't really matter. Oh, your background, but yeah. Yeah, it's quite skinny. Although you say like it looks hungry, but it's got thick arms. Big chunky boy. But yeah, no, this is pretty good work. And well done, Nirda. Just have a look at possibly evening out some of these features to like keep the eye on some of the more interesting parts of the body, because this sort of leads up to the eye, but it sort of draws your attention more down here. But that's only if you're just doing it for this specific render and this specific angle. You could go ham with it on anything else if you want. Yeah, so good job. Very well presented. Right, Googled animations. Conker's Bad Fur Day. I'm gonna quickly see if I can bring up the logo. And make a direct side-by-side comparison. Well, okay. Think you have nailed the font pretty well. The shape and the size of everything looks pretty accurate to it. I would say that in the actual reference, the A hole on the A hole has gone a bit higher up on your one, whereas it looks like on the actual reference it's further down, like here, and it leaves a lot more space up here. But could be a style thing. The edges of the font on the original one seems to have sharper corners. So you have rounded out the corners of your lettering, whereas in the original one they have sharpened them. Even on the U and the round letters, it still has a very sharp corners. I think what you've done with the conkers bit is gone more into like the neon lights territory, whereas I think the original looks more like just he scribbled on the box cover, which is pretty nice. Aha, some smoothing errors. That usually comes with just like subdividing it a bit more. I think this might have been done in Eevee or something, or if the light's very sheer to the side, it will cause some artifacts like that. You can tell it's smooth, but just the light ends up catching it at a weird angle. Yeah, I think the light being emitted off it is pretty decent. It sort of helps put the whole thing in a 3D context. I don't think the colour on the outside is as blue as it is on the original, but if you're just directly comparing this to the original, then yeah, have a look at that. And if you want to get it as accurate to the original as possible, then the original has a dot here, which you don't. I'm disregarding adding the characters because that's clearly not intended. Oh, you have got a sharp corner here, so maybe you could have a look at putting that all in the other letters. But nice. I think it's well lit. You can see there's a lot of light coming from the back of it. I also think this might be in cycles actually because of the denoising on the ground or the smoke. It's pretty good smoke. Yeah. Another fairly plain render. I don't think you should have rendered all of this black next to it. You're just sort of wasting time at that point. Just cut it to like here, and then you'd get a lot more iterations done of this. I think. Well, for the time you have anyway. I think you've probably need to put a light at the front as well, just to like clear up the edging, like the shadow that comes around the corner of the render. Because the original just has very plainly lit, I will give you that, so it's it's like front-on lighting, I think. But yeah, I think you've done a pretty good job with emulating it so far. And it's like, yeah, I think oh, that looks a bit like a bit of clipping error. If you're using curves with array modifiers, or going around, yeah, there's a bit of clipping there. You could probably have a look at reducing the it's like the size or the distance between the arrayed objects, like the cylinder, if you are using that method, or if you're just using beveled curves, then you might want to increase the detail on that as well on the drawing curve. But yeah, looks pretty good. I think the materials are very nice. They're very similar to the original. I think it's probably as close as you can get. But this just sort of needs to be a bit more blue, because I think that's what the original looks like. But yeah, good job. And hope it goes well if you want to continue making this, or if it was just a fun little project. But nice one, Googled Animations. Right. Frederico 4D. This looks pretty good. Very pretty. Very noisy though. Don't know if that was a post effect or if you have just not put on for a lot of samples. I apologise for the noise. It's a really good design. Really nice hair. I like the bulging sides, like a 50s haircut. The cloth looks pretty immaculate, and it's very fitting to the model. The clothing is very interesting as well. Don't even know what you'd call this. A reverse collar, possibly. Is that an eyeball? There's some very nice crinkles. Yeah, sorry about the sirens. Like the horns, however, they don't seem to have much around them, say, showing that they come out of the head. It looks sort of like they were just added to it. I don't even see a lot of ambient occlusion or even sort of shadows around them, so it just makes them look like they're just plopped on. Yeah, the nose looks pretty odd on the inside. Oh, this is quite a low resolution, so I can't really tell what that is, but it looks like something is in the nose. I'd probably like to see what that was if this was larger. But the detail and the sculpt is really nice. If this is indeed sculpted, but it looks like it. It's also very well textured and good grayscale lighting. Very clear from a distance, not so much up close. The eyes look great. I think you mostly just need the indication that these were going into the head and possibly a bit more like context clues to show that what this is or what it's about. Would go quite a small amount of effort to make it go a lot more readable. In fact, this looks like it's just been plopped on because this sort of comes in and just sits on top of the hair, but the rest goes underneath it. Yeah, I might want to look into that. It's very well made in mesh and shape wise, and I do love the expression, like a nice little sneer and like a aristocrat. It's really good. I'm not much more to say about this really. I think you could have a look at possibly picking up some more wrinkles in some areas. So like this seems to be incredibly flat for somewhere that gets a lot of creasing, I think. Like you've got some in here and they look really good, but yeah. Yeah, like this crease here is a very tight, smooth crease on the nose, whereas I think they are one of the first things to wrinkle up because they have a nice crease. But yeah, the face anatomy looks really good, decent. I wouldn't be able to tell you much more. The age is sort of represented quite nicely, but I think there's some odd lines on the forehead going like out, whereas they usually just go across or horizontal. But no, it's very decent regardless of all that. Those are just sort of stylistic choices or things you probably have to look into. Not really like do it, but it's just a suggestion. But nice, very good. Excellent work, Federico Fordi. Next up, Moon Korea with another excellent sculpt. Yeah, that looks like a sculpt. It's almost as if the like sculpt brushes go off into the darkness. I can see clay stripes, a lot of rough edges, and polygons left over here. But very, very good face anatomy. yeah, I think you've just left like a few bit of like I could definitely see a lot of square polygons and squares here that just sort of damage the presentation of it slightly, but they're not really an issue with the form or the creases or the like anatomy of the face. The lips are very plump and juicy. Probably want to put like a few wrinkles on the lips just to keep it looking like not just a bit of clay. I realise this is possibly even intended to be rendered like it is clay because of all of the blurs and stripes and creases. It's an excellent jawline. Done the cheeks quite nicely. I feel like I'm getting a bit of conflicting age as well here because you got incredibly saggy cheek but very plump juicy lips. Obviously like every human is different and it's sort of even like translates to fiction, but you can get a lot if you don't keep it if you just sort of keep it consistent with what most people see and understand, then it usually helps. Probably even a bit more sag on the neck even, just to like poke out those neck lines. Like yeah, the this brow is incredibly furrowed and close, but then the brow is very smooth. Possibly have a look at putting some horizontal lines on the brow if you wanted to make it look older. I think the expression and the scowl is very good in regardless of all of that. The ears look very decent from this angle, and the hair. The hair is really well groomed. Like I can see all of the effort gone into making this buzzsaw effect on the locks of hair, and I really appreciate that. And I think the color and the shape and the noise on it all try and are intentional for this image. But I think you could have a look at probably making material for this hair to make it look a lot less like rigid, because right now it's looking like you can see all of the bends and hinges in the hair, and I think you need a bit more samples or iterations on that just to keep it smooth and in fitting with your model. I like how scraggly it is. I don't think you should change the hair generation or the children or the curl or the crink at all. I think you just need to have a look at finding out how to make it in keeping. But that's an iterative thing. You sort of get better at hair as you go along with basically everything else. I like the Wallace and Gromit style eyes. They're just a hole in the ball. Very nice. And the very unkempt eyebrows. Incredibly fitting to the character, I think, as a angry, elfy caricature of some kind. Lighting is nice. Very clear and concise from knowing what this thing looks like. Yes, incredibly juicy cheeks, but just a bit saggy. And then this crease in the mouth looks really good. Helps define that sharp and angry face. Yeah, very nice. I think this is asymmetrical as well, so there's a lot of effort put into the sculpt, and it should be applauded. Very nice. Very nice job, Moon Korea. Moving on, we have Laser Cat, who is apparently active, with their render of what appears to be a battle in the ocean with planes and boats. And I immediately think that the tattered effect on the edge is trying to make this look like a Polaroid of some kind, or some old image. And I think also like the colour saturation as well, along with the dark sky. It's trying to go for the World War effect, which I think is alright. And well, I think like if you have this tattering on the edges of the image, you'd also have a lot of tattering throughout the image, because you've kept an incredibly straight edge, but not tattered the inside. Although if this is supposedly a white background and then this edge is the tattering, then it wouldn't be blurry, it would be sharp, or at least rough and round. But like, oops. Regardless of that, let's get into the meat of the render. You could have a look at de-aging images or aging images, and that thing where you like throw coffee all over it and then soak it in it for a while and then dry it out, and that looks like a old treasure map of some kind. But yeah, the ship looks pretty good. Like the shape of the hull looks alright, but I think the completely straight edged around here is quite high out of the sea. From my passing knowledge of boats, they sort of sink in quite a lot. I'm just going to look up a reference. Yeah, the usually this is not as completely straight. Depends on what reference you use though. Yeah, the hull is quite bizarre. I think if this were to be a massive breach, it would crack up all of the ship as opposed to make just a hole. Just like Titanic style, crack in the middle, leads all the way up, rather than just straight up hole. Have you ever look at shipwrecks to get some references for that? Like the attention to detail of the anchor being up. There's some nice holes inside, portholes, ladders as well, very good. Lifeboats, but yeah, no people on the boat. It seems to already be abandoned, unless this is a person. Can't really tell. Yeah, it's quite a tricky thing to pull off, especially when you have a lot of stuff going on in the scene. So like this plane, the fire isn't attached to the plane or doesn't seem to be coming from it. Oh, okay, those are people. Yeah, it's very hard to tell, but I think that might just be because of the grey image and the fuzzy and low resolution. Yeah, that's a good point. Transparent smoke image, just fudge it like Ian Hubert. This looks pretty good from above here. I think that probably would work better on the boat coming out of here to show like some torpedo went directly into it and exploded on the inside. I think having it on the plane would also work a bit better. The wing falling directly off as well. I don't know if the wing would fall faster than the plane. I think leaving a trail of debris might be better, but of course this is all up to interpretation. I like the idea that this was taken like seconds before this hit and made a big explosion. But if this is supposedly like a picture or a photograph, then I was going to explain who took it and how they took it. I like the inclusion of another plane to sort of seemingly imply it was shot down or dropped a torpedo into the boat. At least it's got a lot of interpretations of the story, which I think works. I would have a look at possibly blurring the background or creating a horizon, because or maybe use a depth of field to try and blur that. Get a decent like horizon effect without much effort. It would just help the water look less like it's just a single plane rather than like goes off into the distance. Or like camera clipping distance if that was too low. I think these clouds are a bit low in the sky as well, but all the individual elements look pretty decent. Like there's no there's no like glaring horrible issues. But yeah, the modelling on the ship is nice. Like all the hand railings, the very like attention to detail for the ladder. Oh, there's a person here. Didn't see that. All of these, like the chimney and the masts of some kind. I don't know what's supposedly inside this ship. It seems to just be like a light or the water. Not sure. But no, it's a really decent effort and should be applauded. Very good, Laser Cat. Yeah, just focus on like smaller things at the same time. Don't have like a lot of things going on in the same image. I think it might just help declutter and focus what things couldn't look better or look worse. It's not a matter of just throwing everything at it. It's just a case of trying to work out what's decent for some cases, what isn't for other. But no, this is a very good iteration on what you've worked on. So, be proud. Good job. Next. Yeah. Volume. Yeah, there's a few tutorials now on like smoke and dust and particles, which you can have a look at. Oh, I forgot to mention that I will be doing videos at the end. There are 2 videos that I've yet to watch, but they will come after I've done everything. Don't know how long this will take. Hopefully, get time for it. But yeah, now we'll go for a HB 2009 with a incredibly spooky image. Some very well cut grass. For like a wilderness scene. I think the grass and the light looks decent. Like the sun coming from a distance is casting a really nice shadow and light effect on the grass. I just think the grass doesn't. I don't know. Like some of it has a straight line, but other looks like it's cut off. I don't know if that's just the lighting or if there's like there's a tiny little spike at the end there. Maybe it's just the lighting. Possibly. But yeah, that looks pretty well groomed. It's a decent variation in the hills, and a pretty good Dutch angle on this image. Nice horizon. I like that the light coming from the pumpkins sort of implies the sun behind it, also making all this light. It's a nice little pond. Can't see what this is. I feel like it might just be the edge of the pond, but seems like a bit hard to tell. Background is pretty varied and decent, but I think the sky in the background is a HDRI. I think this clouds might be put in, but yeah, it looks very nice. Very good contrast of like dark reds and blacks. Now for the main event, the pumpkin, but with all this harsh lighting and I think some subsurface scouring, this sort of looks more like a pepper to me, just because it's got very smooth and reflective surface, which pumpkins do have. They're just a bit more orange and rough, and they have the like small variations in the outline. And you've also gone for a very square shaped pumpkin, which generally come more from like peppers in how they're a bit more square. I do really like the face on it. I really like the attention to detail to keep the pupils onto the edge of the pumpkin to make it look like it's actually a possible physical pumpkin instead of just like floating bits. I like the stem. It's all very stylized and edgy. I really like these lips. It's an incredibly good design on the face. It's an out of 10 for that. Even the brow and the scarring of the brow as it's like split up as it goes for the eye. Very nice. I think either the light's too bright or it's just washed out the back of the pumpkin so much that it just looks like one colour, or there's not much variation inside the pumpkin at all, which I think is fine. But when there's a lot of blank space in the eye, you can sort of just get your eyes drawn to it, and you just sort of notice that it's all just very plain and orange. But yeah, nice one. I like this split. It seems very even, like 50-50. I'm interested to know why this pumpkin's just started floating out of this lake, or if it was just thrown in the middle and then someone took a photo. It's very good. It might just be that. Yeah, I feel like the pumpkin could have had a nice just single render on its own rather than have the grass scene with it. But you went for the effort and very appreciated. Nice one. And yeah, good job, HP 2009. Moving on, we have Intermittent Chem with, I think, was the D&D competition entry, which did go quite well. I think this won. Don't quote me on that. I'm just going to quickly check. Yes, it did win. Well, congratulations. And I think the win is pretty deserved, as most of it is very well made. The hands have a bit of issue with this texture having a seam all the way down it. The dice itself looks great. I like that you've put 20 on the front, points at the camera, very nice. Yep, seam going up and down the fingers as well. I don't think there's any fingernails, but that could just be a style thing. Yeah, it's not to be understated how good this is for a week, yes. if this is indeed all entirely made within 1 week. But yeah, incredible. I think the texture on the hood is very nice. It looks nice and thick and chunky. It's not the most physically real one, but it works with the style of the character, because I think it's very like thick feeling. I can see there's a clipping of the glasses into the hood, and you have put glow on the inside of the eye to make the glasses seem more glowy. Originally I thought this was a glow or like just shine on the glasses, but it's emanating from the eyes itself. I I love the idea that it's just a nerdy person with the braces, but has like a massive scar and intimidating eyes. I think the hands might be a bit too small, but the pose is really good. I like what you did with these fingers, grouping them together. Go watch that Blender talk if you haven't on Hands of Animation in the 2019 conference. This colour is very well textured. There's a lot of nice effort in that for something that's basically mostly covered by the hand. I think this button's just more of a stud rather than a button. But very nice. There's a good load of freckles on the face. Pretty decent. The lips are very thin and incredibly wide smile. There's also not a lot of cheek bulging for a smile this big, and it's sort of going down into the mouth as it smiles. I think that might be a bit of a possibility to get like a more menacing creased look on the cheeks as it bulges. Maybe have something to play with. I do like the eyebrows, look very thick and nice. There's no brow or crinkle here whatever, or whatsoever. I don't think they would have much of one, but just like a small one might just help like keep that cheeky grin going. But yeah, the hood, nice seams on it. I think they're very flat, might just be a normal map, but yeah, it's very good. Yeah, their fingernails. Extremely nice lighting. I think could benefit from a bit of love on the skin texture. I think it's probably got no subsurface scattering on it, but it feels a bit like it's rubbery. Not sure, it just sort of feels like a mannequin hands, but if this is indeed what you want to look at or practice again afterwards, then go for it. But as a single standalone 1 week render, it's pretty goddamn impressive. It's even got hair on the hands. No, I think that might just be a rendering thing. Yeah, the dice is very nice as well. It's a very large dice for these hands. It's like one of those comedy ice cube makers. But yes, very good, and I shall continue. Good work, intermittent chem, and I have roasted you. Right, Nerda. Let's look at your smartphone with 4 cameras. Oh my god! It's better than every other phone because it has more cameras. Good logo. Looks like it's machined in the metal. one solid chunk of aluminium. Nice job. Extra. Oh, is that a 3.5mm jack? I think it is. Yeah, because that'd be the front of the phone, that'd be the back of the phone, and it's stayed on the right side. So it's already better than most iPhones. I'm not sure what this is, it might just be a reflection in something. Good button. I think you've overused the bloom a lot. I can't really get a... It sort of blurred the outline of the entire shape. And yeah, there's a bit of polygons here. Don't know what this is. Is that a front camera? Oh, it might be, because you've used the entire surface of the phone to... Yeah, that's like an entire screen. So yeah, they probably need a front camera doing that. Oh, this is on this side as well. Not sure what this is, might be just a bit of a weird reflection. But yeah, the lenses look good. There's a lot of noise on the internal domes on the glass. I think it's all very clean, very, very clean. But I think you need to have more subdivisions on your mesh to make it look like a showroom piece rather than just a clean model. Yes, I will watch the video afterwards because it's just weird with looking at the video. But yes, streaming stuff. But yeah, continuing. I think I'll come. Well, I'll just come back to it in the video at the end. The outline sort of is very sheer here. I don't think this is a phone case, so it's just. I think it's just a case of more subdivisions. This might be addressed in the video, but I'm not sure yet. Yes. Volume slider. On-off button. Very nice. Is this your dream phone, Neda? If this is Eevee, then yeah, have a look at possibly upping the samples on the render to get those noisy artifacts out of there. But yeah, I like the attention to detail with the light as well. Nice. I think all of the speakers and microphones would be internal, so maybe they're not visible, or unless that one, this right there. But yeah, good job, and I will get to your video soon. Cool, moving on. Temmie with a skull, which we have established is 3D, I believe, and it looks very nice. I think it was sculpted and used with a very just sharp light to try and get this effect. I think it looks very metal album cover, especially because of the completely square render and right in the middle. I think this is the week for white. I'm not sure, but yes, very dark eye holes, very dark nose, no teeth to speak of, and a few specks of noise along the outline. I think if you didn't have those, it would be very, very clean in total. But yeah, just other than that, I think it's a very interesting skull. It's not like a normal skull shape, like eye holes are much bigger. I think it's it might be with the Fresnel effect, just pure white into pure black. Is this how white is this? This is as white as it goes. Yep. Nice. So then, like, don't use Filmic if you're gonna do something with just pure color, because it will try and adjust them for the exposure, which is not what you want. But I think you've done this quite well. Yep. Black is black. Yeah. Cool. I like the. I think the polygon effect in this is better because it sort of breaks up the outline of the shape, so it doesn't look like completely smooth. So yeah, nice job. Yeah, it's just the outline here. Very good work, Timmy. And shall move on. Right, JC. Very good mountain vista. Nice sun. I can tell there's a bit of atmosphere in the background because of the wavy gradient. Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think we could possibly. Oh, yeah, there's a bit of more atmosphere because of the steam and fog over here. It gets very, very red. You could possibly put a bit more blue up here and make it transition a bit nicer. Because it's almost unnaturally bright and red. I don't know. It's possibly used from a reference. If this is indeed from a reference, then go by what that says, not what I say. Some good trees, but I think they're all the same one. I think they look like it. There's some odd situations like here where there's a tree, but there's a tiny gap underneath it, so it makes it look like it's floating. Yes, it is very relaxing. I do appreciate the silhouette in the water, a nice lake, and it's almost too dark to tell what the contours of it look like. I think I can sort of see it here, but it doesn't really matter. You've got a really good framing on this because of the mountains going along the middle, separated by colour and sky, water and sky on each side. The sun is very nice. I think it probably just gives it away it's a render because it's just a single solitary red shape. You could probably have a look at reflecting that on the water because it doesn't seem to be on there, and maybe even trying to find out a way to like add a lens flare or something just to make it feel a bit more like a picture, because I think that's the only thing stopping it from being really photoreal. And the trees probably need a little bit of variation because it seems like I could just see spikes going along and being grouped on the edges of the mountain. I don't know about Render Roast on ArtStation. I don't know if you can stream on there. But if that's a thing, then ask in like server feedback because I think wait, I'm just checking the Discord. Oh yeah, Sun is a vampire. Yeah, you might want to get across for that Sun and make it a real person. But yeah, the shape and the scale of everything is really nice. Feels very big, very distant. It's almost meant to be seen at a distance, really. Not in an insulting way, but in a very calm and relaxing way. But yeah, very good job, JC. I shall move on. Right. I see that there have been some more pictures put in the Discord whilst I've been doing this. I haven't got a lot of time left today, so I will not be doing anything after Pornix here, just so everyone's aware. That can be done for next time. I apologise, I am fairly short on time today, but I will continue for this one and the next two, I believe. So yes, Wisdom has taken it upon themselves to not only model a gun, but model the inside of a gun as well, which you've got to appreciate, really, the dedication that goes into that. Damn. So, just going by the model here, the exterior looks pretty goddamn amazing. There's some slight rendering artifacts on the inside here, where it's sort of reflecting on itself. And yeah, you might want to change the bounces on that, just to make it a bit cleaner. Incredibly well detailed. Like nice rivets and holes. Incredibly clean surface. I think this is like a showroom piece model, so I don't think it's supposed to have like smudges or smearings in the creases and the model. Oh, there's a lot of noise there. Yeah, just have a little look at bounces if this is indeed like a showroom model or render. This has got all of the details I have no idea about because I'm not even remotely familiar with this weapon or the details on it, but that looks like a very hard model or a very hard shape to get right, and you've put it in there regardless of if it needed to be in there or not. I wouldn't even known. Nice creases along the actual model, so incredibly high attention to detail, making it look like this couldn't be manufactured and made, rather than just one solid chunk of Imaginarium. The material is just clearly all like the same material, which, to be fair, isn't that bad. I don't think you'd actually make this thing out of complete solid metal, but this doesn't seem to be one of those like you don't need. It's not going for like hyperrealism. It's just going for incredible accuracy. It's almost like a CAD model in that regard. If this was indeed made in Blender, then you've done a really good job with hard surface modeling, because this would have been so much easier in a CAD program. $2.1 million tries. Very impressive. No texturing at all. Fair enough. You don't really need it. The model on this bone, anyway. Everyone could see the detail and the effort. Now, being the absolute gun genius that I am, I can tell you that this mechanism was 100% certified bullet shooting, but you may want to get a super expert's opinion. But the everything looks incredibly intricate and interacting and has a design. I like that these parts model up with these parts, and you can actually see that they are consistent within the gun. Spring, everything's loaded. Incredibly accurate and just very well done. Even as this switch on the outside, which is probably the automatic or single shot thing. Don't know how the bullets get in, but I'm sure you've accounted for that. I will say that the presentation of this image sort of shows that you cut off the render for the bottom image here, where you've got this single crease here, but then overlapped it with this one, making it look a bit like this presentation image is a bit like cut off, which is a tiny issue when you just like showing these to a render roast. But yeah, that's just a thing that if you wanted to do for like a presentation or portfolio piece, you might want to make the further larger render of this bit just to get it looking like it's consistent. Not sure what this is, but looks like it's there for a reason. 70 hours plus, very, very impressive. Lots of dedication. Nice. Incredibly powerful spring. Does just like ping the bullets, doesn't even need to shoot them. It just spring loads and then shoots those. Shoots 98% more bullet per bullet. Anyway, Wisdom, thank you for this very, very impressive model. And now for Proyo with this render, which seems to be a shadowy man attacking a shadowy monster. And the night. Immediately there's a lot of noise with your light. I would say you can try and go for achieving this effect in Eevee or watching. There's a Blender conference talk on rendering dust and particles and stuff in cycles, and you can get a lot more detail and efficiency from that, like the Intel denoiser. Yeah, just there's a lot of settings you can do to optimize that. This is your first scene? Well, it's very good in that case. Like it's hard to be discouraged, but there's a lot of things you can do to improve, but that shouldn't discourage you. I would say you've gotten the idea of everything down. You wanted to make it so that this was visible from this side, and you wanted to have your eyes show up for this piece, and you wanted to actually like portray the image. But there's sort of like the back of the road just sort of cuts off, and there's sort of left to the imagination what goes on over here. The if you wanted to shroud it in darkness, you should probably have just put like a big cone around it, or like you can also make negative value lights. So if you want to make more shadow, you could just set a light to negative light, and it will produce shadow instead. So you could use that to surround the object. I would say, just as a simple character, this is quite nice. It's very clearly a person, and you can see which way they're looking. I would say that you have got lights coming from here, but they don't seem to cast any shadow, but there seems to be a world light that you've set really low that is over here and casting shadows this way, just to get the floor somewhat illuminated. Yeah. It's yeah, like as Stonercraft has put in the chat, you should not get discouraged because this is still a finished product in most regards. The actual character model and the block monster, it's quite nice. There's a lot hidden and left to the imagination, which sort of helps its model. It just sort of helps your imagination helps what goes on up here, which I quite like. I like not knowing what the mouth looks like because it sort of makes it scarier. I think if you wanted to try and make something that's small, a small little change, you could probably make this character look like it's looking at this one, and then this one can tilt its head up a bit to look at the other one as well. I think the monster does have a pretty decent silhouette. Like, it's massive shoulders and big arched lumbering back. And yeah, the lights, I think are just emission planes, but I think you're going for a very like Minecrafty style look, which isn't a bad thing. It's just you need to make sure you're consistent with all of that. So if you have anything round like this torch, for instance, it could probably be made blocky or keep in keeping with the style. But yeah, just you don't have to just make like PBR renders or ultra realistic super things. As long as you just have a style and you keep with it, then everything will look good. But yeah, there's a few like light artifacts on here. Have a look at denoising and Intel denoiser possibly, or just have a look at rendering settings for this stuff. I can see there's a lot of. Yeah, I think you've maybe covered the world in volumetrics, which you don't really need to. But yeah, have a watch of the Blender conference talks on Nebula, and have a look at the tutorials on Blender Guru for rendering and light, and I think you should be set. But yeah, very good first go, Proyo. I look forward to whatever you decide to make next, and I hope it keeps going. Right, and I think that's last one. Yes. So, yeah, this will be last one, and I'll go into videos. So, Pornix here is here with a rain render. It's a very good floor. The water pattern is very nice. I like that you've put variation in the ground and the dots. You've put variation in like the water as it joins in with other bits and pools together. It's very nice. I think this is incredibly clean for a road marking. And I see you've tried to like make it look darker and dimmer in areas, but ultimately the edge is very clean, but it just looks like it's not painted on, because the road paint is very bulbous, I think. So you want to like curve up the edges here to make it look like it's been slabbed on rather than like textured inside the road. But you know, that depends on the road really. I love the water droplets. It's a very good rain piece. I can see the rain sort of smearing as it falls down. It seems to be like it's a rainy scene from like it rained early in the day and there's like a pool of water rounding up and then it started raining again. I think there's a streak cinema. It might just be light. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is way too clean of a road. It's clearly too well kept. Yeah, but the texture work is pretty great and the lighting is lovely. Like it feels like there's cars in the distance over here, and probably big streak of light from a building or street lamp or sign, and various like greens, reds, blues in the water. All works very well. It helps make it feel like there's a scene going on behind this, and that's very nice. You can also tell it's dark because of all of the darkness around the wreck of it. But yeah, very nice job. Even got some bumps in the road, I think, because those don't look like water to me. Or it might be. But yeah, excellent work. Not got a lot to say about that. I think if you want to improve it, you'd have a look at this road marking, see what you can change about that, or if you can add some variation to it, because right now it just looks like it's part of the road rather than painted on top of the road. But that's just my experience of painted road markings. But yeah, very good job, Pornix here. Right, now I'm going to see if this works. Going to go to that. Cool. So now I will watch the D&D render and see what it goes. This is from Mex, by the way. I don't think this doesn't have sound, by the way, so you're not missing anything. Oh, particle sim and animation. Oh no, it's actually a node system. Oh, okay. Nodes animation. Nice way around it. Critical fail. Huh. Nice. Right, let's look through that. So, bit of undulating shadow there. I like the focus on the camera changing. Not a lot of people do that. There's some weird texture issues here where I've not blurred it together. I'll just put it full screen. I do like the individual parts of the road texture. Don't know what that was. Yeah, I think you just like clipped into the floor with the camera. Yeah, it's like full screen covered in blur. Yeah, that's a good dice. I think the lettering is very sharp and poking out of the dice, which you would not have on any dice. Would not have the lettering poking out. You'd probably want to boolean it poking in. So make it like a fair dice. This node system is really good. I like what you did with it to make it look like he's cracking and opening. That animation there with the hand and the fingers coming out looks very good. Very nice animation. I don't know why that belt's keeping up. I think that's just a aesthetic belt. And I don't know how they did those shoes up. But no, that's like very good work on the model. Yeah, the foot slide is very high on this. Very little friction. I think you'd want to probably step that foot down first. Oh, and there's some clipping in the hand with the sword. I'll just move it underneath that, or just rotate the sword. Oh wow, it's just gone straight through the sword. You just want to move like the right hand out of the way a bit, probably. Oh, you got some popping there, with the arm directly going full length. I like the pose transition. It's completely static in the air. I don't think it's moving at all. You might want to just put a little bit of variation in there. This elbow here, I think, has gone very skew with, because you've gone and pulled the shoulder forward, I think, whereas I think you could have just left it there and then kept it behind the body to hide whatever was in there. And yet, I think the dice roll is very stilted. You probably speed it up or look into making a faster one and then just slowing it down. There's a bounce curve in there by default, which I don't think you should use. I think it's pretty decent, but it's probably not the best for dice. You can probably have a look at references for dice if you want to improve this, but I think this is a competition entry. But regardless, if it's just what if you want to improve or doesn't matter. I like the story with this though. The funny ending was great, and the model looks pretty good. Yeah, I don't know why chainmail gloves. Yeah, very good job, Max. And lastly, we have the phone by Nerda. Aha, yes, that camera. Oh, there's so you have the rotation and the complete circular light. Okay, there's a lot of stuttering there. You might want to edit the frame range to like stop having the few frames of start and stop. Like there. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There you go. You have about 9 frames of start before it actually starts moving, which you could just cut out. Same on the end as well. Yeah, one of those phones starts moving before the other. Yeah, the white one moves before the black one, which I think you could probably clean up a bit. It's just editing the. Okay, you fixed it. Right, cool. But yeah, this I don't expect you to be like completely oblivious to this stuff, but it's just pointing out. Yeah. I appreciate the effort to going into like animating it and producing it. I can also see that now that that's been shown, there's an actual bump map on the logo, and it sort of goes in and creases. One's supposed to move first. It doesn't feel natural, especially when one stops moving first. I think if you wanted to make that look a bit more natural, it would probably have to move one first a lot more than the other. But a lot of phone adverts I've seen, they're very, very clean and slick, and they'll have everything moving at once. But ultimately, it's your decision. If you like that idea, if you like it doing that, then go for it. And yeah, there's just the fairly low poly corners of the phone, which you can still see the silhouette here. But yeah. You might want to use a reflection map or have like light emitting from the screen to show like a default image, because having just the white circle appear in it is probably just a completely flat thing. It might help to smooth out these corners as well. Okay. Cool. But yeah, looks really good, and it still looks like a very nice phone. So make it and give me one, please. Alright. So, I'm going to call that it, and I hope you all had a nice time, and I hope that none of these comments have gone and ruined anyone's feelings or thoughts on something. Just offering a little bit of pointers. It's not supposed to be criticism or anger towards anyone, but yes, have a lovely time, and I hope you continue to make blendery things and keep going. Well done, everyone. Well done, everyone who's put anything on the stream, and well done, everyone who hasn't.